Hey everybody. I'm going to try to get this on a horizontal stream. Don't think it wants to let me do that. But this is what we're up to today. Working on the chicken teepee. Got to cut the wood to fit. Got all my toys out. How are you guys doing? Let me know where you're tuning in from. Having some real issues with YouTube streaming options today. Like, it was only allowing me to stream from the laptop, and I wasn't able to pull up the live stream on the mobile. The mobile app was showing all my scheduled streams as grayed out. I don't know, that's apparently a bug or something out there, but I hope you guys are all doing well today. I am in my happy place. It's Sunday, and you guys know it's like it's always good to reflect from the week and take some time to do some of the things we need to do in the backyard. I'm right now, I'm in the coop shed where it's all the toys in here. And today's goal is to be able to get the chicken teepee built up. It's sitting over there up against the fence. I'm working with this beautiful lady today as well.
Chicken coop time. Teepee.
I am her assistant as usual. Personal assistant. But what I really need to do right now is need to get out the measuring tape, my pencil, and get everything going here. Washington State. Toilet. I wish there was a toilet out here somewhere. That would be nice. Never start a live stream without going to the toilet first. Super important. So, yeah, this week was crazy. It's been like one of those like weeks where we really don't know what or where our hobby is headed. Like we don't have any freaking clue what's gonna be next. Like what they're gonna ban our stuff, the stuff that we have tomorrow or next week, or we don't know what's happening week to week. That seems to be how it is in like general state of everything happening in DC right now. So you guys can probably identify with that. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Smash the like button so that YouTube algorithm picks us up. This YouTube algorithm be drone haters. You guys are the drone lovers. So I measured this out before, but I forget what the measurements are, so I might have to measure it again. Let us know where you're tuning in from. I only got 2 likes on this video. What the? Come on, you got to give me some likes for streaming on a Sunday with my lady, right? We got to measure out this teepee over here. And the point of this teepee is, I don't know if you guys have chickens or not, but they like to take dust baths, and they always need a spot to go and do that. But the point of the teepee is that they could get out of the rain, and all this dirt under here that I put here will be dry in the rainy months. So I've got 27 3/4 there. I could probably make that as plain 28. Down to length 3 feet. So 3 feet on each side by 28. 3 feet by 28. James Smith, you say you're just waiting for iFlight to open orders to the US. That would be great. Right now, you can't get the Goggles 3 off of DJI website either. That kind of sucks. But yeah, there's I don't know what's gonna happen this week as far as us being able to order stuff goes. I don't know. I don't know if you guys have been on the Gap RC website and tried to order anything. I still have some stuff to put up on our website that can ship from the US. Or if you just let me know what you're looking for, try to accommodate. I do have some 04s and I have some analog. I have a ton of analog quads. So what may happen this week is that we see some of those companies hopefully open back up, and then we just kind of at this point continue on business as usual. You know what I mean? And I mean, I really thought that we were going to see just an flat out ban, because I think the administration in general is like really kind of, or some people in the administration are pretty hot on like banning all things China. Seems to be the agenda, and that's just been since the new administration, but maybe even in the old administration. So I need to cut this baby at 3 feet. 3 feet across the board, and then go 28 inches per board. 3 feet. So we're constantly working on this stuff back here in the backyard. We have a good amount of space for pretty much doing anything we want back here, including flying, which is nice. Fly back here. Fly almost. You could almost probably fly a 3-inch back here. Pretty sure I could get away with flying a 3. You could fly a 5-inch back here, but it would be pretty. You'd have to go so slow to be able to. Let's see. I'm just gonna read back through some of the chat. How you guys doing out there? Man, a low viewership today. You guys must be off out on your boats doing some fishing. The agenda is open markets, says Dennis Matovich. Yeah, I hope so. I hope the markets. I mean, we need to have open markets to be able to survive the economy and be able to thrive. James Smithfield says, I do have a trip to Iceland and Greenland in July. Oh, wow. Might have a stopover to the DJI store in Reykjavik before I come back. Be a good idea. I went to the Paris DJI store 2-3 years ago. It's pretty cool. I was in Paris on a vacation with my lady, and like we walked on this one block. I looked over and I'm like, holy crap, there's DJI Paris. It was pretty cool. I didn't know they had a store in Paris, but why wouldn't they? James, you were going to jump into a 5-inch and a 7-inch from flying the Avata 2 for years, and all this stuff hit. Yeah, it's a tough time to be like getting into buying FPV stuff right now, and mainly because like 90% of it's sitting in the Ukraine. Like I feel like since like 5 years ago, all the stock has somehow just made its way to either sitting on the Russian side or sitting in stockpiles in Ukraine and being used for the war, which really put a huge dent in our hobby supply, right? Because now it's being used for warfare, which totally messes with the hobby side of what we're trying to do. You know what I mean? Dennis says most FPV people have stuff laying around not being used. Time to trade and barter. Hell yeah! Find somebody that's got some old gear. Like look on Craigslist. I always have stuff that I'm selling from our reviews because I can't fly at all. And I don't want to have to store all the random stuff we get for the channel, because it's better if you're flying it, not me. What I gotta do now is try to consolidate what I have, streamline what I have, and really focus on what I need versus what I want. What I want is to keep everything, but can't do that. So we do have some new releases coming up. I have a brand new review coming out tomorrow on an FPV drone that you guys haven't seen. It does have DJI 04 on it, so it's going to be a straight up bind and fly review. So that's super nice. So I got this thing marked out 3 feet this way, and then once I cut this, then I'm going to do 2 28-inch sections, and then we'll go like screw it down to make the TP. How many of you guys out there have some kind of backyard gardens or chickens? I keep getting these updates on my phone for the Atlanta Braves game. I'm a Braves fan. If you guys watch baseball or not. I got MLB. The MLB app is pretty amazing these days. It is like 29 bucks. Kind of pricey for one app, but it lets you watch all the games unless you're in a blackout. I hate the freaking blackout. Always hated that about baseball. So years ago, I created these. I made these like sliders with a kicker off the end, and they were about this high off the ground. It was like 3 feet off the ground, and we were out in the park, and we set up this little like basically like a slide with a jump off the end of it. And I went to this industrial company, and I got this like super thick, durable plastic. When I first started trying to do it, I used like some kind of paneling or something, and when the drone hit the slider, it would catch and put a hole. It would put a hole straight into the material, so I had to switch over to this really thick, durable plastic stuff. And man, that was cool. It was like some of the first time in FPV that we had ever taken an FPV drone and hit obstacles with it, and it was pretty cool. That was, I think that was back in like 2015 or something like that. Our cameras were so shit back then. It was really hard to keep the drone level in acro mode, coming in and trying to basically set it down on the run up to the end of it where it kicked off. And if you hit it just right and you dump the throttle, it would slide all the way across the slider and then come off the kicker and like get air off the end. It was pretty cool. And there was a lot of crashes to where I came in too high and didn't get the drone down on the surface of the slider and like hit the very end of it, hit the lip, just crash, tear up all kinds of props. I think that we called it the dragon. We called it the dragon slider, the dragon tail. If you look on YouTube, type in dragon tail slider FPV drone, and that video should come up. It was pretty crazy. And look at the camera quality in that video. If you go back and look at that video, if you pull that up, look at the camera quality of a quad back in 2014, 15, 16 era. Lonnie Pruitt says, you have chickens. FPV Addict says, chicken popped over my fence last night. I had to chase it around with your drone. Yeah, they don't like drones, not even the small ones. Like these girls, they run whenever I tiny whoop inside inside the run over here. We got one just like she's just chilling. Where's she at? It's really hot right now, so I think it's over 90 degrees right now out here, and it's the kind of temperature where like they start panting. The chickens will start panting. But yeah, we have our own chicken eggs, which is nice. We have 4 baby chicks coming up over there. I think they're 3 or 4 weeks old now. They're probably about so tall. Eventually, we're gonna put them in with the big girls, get them acclimated into the flock. We got one that's super mean. She's a big bitch. She jumps on the other girl's back. Like there'll be a total peace in the little cage, and then all of a sudden all hell break loose. It's because she's starting shit with all the rest of them. She's a bitch. I'm hoping that she's not a rooster. She's a he. It's possible. Let us know where you're tuning in from today. If you have any questions like about anything going on or what may be happening next, like DJI may be on the chopping block still. We still don't know 100% about what's happening there. So yeah, that's. But as of the executive order, it should be expedited as far as the DoD speeding up the review process of if DJI is in fact threat to national security. And that's what a lot of it's about. A lot of it's about national security. So got to mark my cut line on the outside here. I know which side I need to be on, but I always do that out of habit. Let me know if we're coming in loud and clear for this mic. We're using the DJI mic today, which, who knows? Anything that emits a wireless signal, they want to try to ban. So that means that DJI couldn't sell their mics anymore in the US. That would suck. My line is here, so I'm going to go ahead and cut that out. And then I'm going to measure 28 inches that way. Hopefully that's right. 3 inches. Yeah. 28 or 3 feet by 28 inches wide. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Pandy the Bear said, "What happened with what Trump signed?" So, Trump signed a few different executive orders, and essentially what they're doing is they're ramping up manufacturing, and they're also putting more scrutiny on Chinese drone companies that are selling drones to U.S. customers, and they have to make sure that each of those companies are on the checklist from the federal government. So yeah, a little more security on some of the drone companies coming out of China to the U.S. John C. says, Artisan better opens up the chip source code, circuitry, or follow Dinosaur Intel's course. RJ Ariel is out of Tennessee, East Tennessee. That's awesome. That's in the Bonnaroo land over there. James Smith Films says, you think DJI in general will have issues getting through customs in the future, or Action 6 or Osmo 360 coming later this year? I did see some Osmos in Costco. Combine these two words, Osco. So I saw some Osmos in Costco just yesterday. So if you wanted to get an Osmo, I would get it from Costco. Miss Camps just sprayed me with the hose. Feels good. Feels good.
You like that?
Don't spray me too much though. Spray the camera. No. Joe T says, what about Specta? I have a U.S. drone company. What about ordering components and then doing assembly here? Would that pass by any ban? It depends, Joe T. It depends on whether the parts are on the checklist. If the parts are from non-adversarial type of countries, if the majority of those parts pass that inspection. So yeah, it depends on and a lot of it is kind of like riding on the testing with those parts, and there's a process that these companies have to go through now with the DoD, and a lot of paperwork that they're going to have to go through, and they'll have to be approved to sell in the U.S. And so it is getting harder. Like, it is going to be harder for some of these companies to get their drones into the country. So this is not like making things easier. It's good because, yeah, we can still get FPV drones from overseas sources, but at the same time, they have to be on the approval list. Nick B says, what would be a good competitor to DJI? I'm looking at getting a nice lower budget photo drone around $350. What do you suggest? I would suggest looking at the $350 range is pretty low, but I would look at the Mini 3s. They've been on sale pretty for the last like 6 months, and the Mini 5 is on the horizon. So like when the Mini 5 comes out, you'll be able to get the 3 for pretty cheap. We took a Mini 3 to France, and it was awesome. There's also what they call the Mini 4K, and the Mini 4K is essentially a stripped down version of the Mini 3. It's probably even like the same hardware built into, just a cheaper overall package. They wanted to make a super cheap Mini under 250 grams that had 4K on it, but I don't think it has 4K at 60 frames per second. I think it has 4K at 30. So 4K at 30 aerials don't look quite as good as 4K with 60. Just that double of a frame difference like really makes a big difference when you're filming aerials. FPV Addict says, I need to go HD. HD0, pure analog. Well, I've got a new release for HD0 drone coming up on the channel, and I was thinking this week when all this stuff went down about DJI, if DJI gets banned, right? So if they don't make it through the end of the year and they're no longer allowed to be sold in the US, maybe even the 04 is not allowed to be sold. If that happens, I think the fallback, my first choice would be HD0, because HD0 on a Whoop is a lot of fun. It's great. For close-in proximity FPV stuff, HD0 would be my first choice. I haven't tried Caddx's new system. Caddx is supposed to come out with a new system. And if Caddx comes out with this and it's as good as HD0, then I think we'll have great HD alternatives like coming up for the rest of this year. Zaith Systems says, do you think SkyZone will release another analog goggles? That is a good question. I don't have any information from SkyZone recently. They've been making a lot of FPV planes. Their company has a subsidiary called Atom RC, and they make some pretty awesome FPV planes. I've seen a few of them coming out recently. So the question, the answer to your question is no, I don't have any insider information right now about SkyZone coming out with new goggles. But it would be nice to have an update, like an 05X, right? Like a brand new version, a 2025 version of some 04Xs would be nice. I'm still running the 04X. I love them. I sold my 030s, which I'd had for about 6 years. Sky Zone is still my choice on this channel and me personally for analog FPV. Hands down, make the best screens, the field of view, and the distance from your eyes. Like the problem with Fat Shark for me is the screen. When you look into the goggles, it seems like too far away. Like the movie screen is out to here, versus when you're looking at Sky Zones, it's more like here, and the IPD adjustment will still let me get that in focus, and the screen looks bigger. Does that make sense? So the Sky Zone, the Fat Sharks look further away, and the Sky Zones look a little closer and a little bigger to me. Tiger Hermano says, is DJI Neo that bad? I heard it can carry 4 ounce, but no drop mechanism. The Neo's not that bad as long as you don't want to fly it full manual, because I think it sucks in full manual. Even with the Transmitter 3. I spent $200 on the Transmitter 3 recently so I could fly it for you guys, and like my first backyard impression of full manual mode with it, like what we call acro, it like totally sucks. It's not good. Versus something like a Pavo 20 Pro, night and day. It's like, I don't know, it's like driving a Saturn versus driving like a Porsche Carrera. Heliplane Sunrise says, can you make a video on how you attach the DJI 04 air unit to the Bolentex Corsair? Possibly. It's not too hard to do. What you have to do is just put an XT30 connector on the ground and positive wire to power it, and then don't hook up any of the rest of the wires. Just only those 2 wires. Just cap off the rest of them. Make sure they're not touching each other, obviously, and then put some heat shrink around those extra wires hanging out, and then just plug in like a little 2 or 3S, probably a 2S battery, that small enough that could fit on the Corsair, that doesn't weigh it down too much. It's going to be a little bit heavy. It's going to add a little bit of extra weight to that Corsair, but that's the way you do that. You can look up the schematic on the 04. There's a piece of paper and it shows you each individual wire, what each one does. Ground, GND, positive, probably TX, RX, S-bus, and so on. And so after ground and positive wire, you don't have to do anything else. But the shitty thing about that particular harness is that all the wires are black. Now, none of them are color coded. I don't know why they did that. Save money, I guess. But that really makes it a pain in the ass, because then even I have to go back and look at the schematic every time I want to do like an external power supply on it. For the light version and for the 04. That's shitty. Jose Navarro, you had to get the Emax Freestyle 2 analog flight controllers. You made some reviews years ago. 5 years of destruction, and the little quad is still working. Trying to get what analog I need now. Yeah, so I mean, if you're kind of a prepper personality and you want to be prepared for things, I would definitely suggest like stocking up on what you think you might need for the foreseeable future for FPV hobby stuff. Yeah, I would get whatever you can now, because the future is really uncertain as far as import stuff goes. Like this is they're giving you like a chance. Like this is really the past 3 months were your biggest chance, and now you're even probably have a smaller window of chance for getting some of that stuff. I don't think we're gonna have a all-out ban though, because I don't think they want to like really stifle the market too much. But I would say to stock up still. Zaith System says, what do you think about 1.2 gigahertz video RX, TRX, and why it's not replacing 5.8 for long range? I think a lot of old school people use 1.2, and some of the first FPV systems I ever used back in 2010 were on a 1.3. I believe it's 1.3. I hacked a DVD player. This is how long ago this was. A DVD player for a camper, and it had this little like back on it that could open up that had a DVD player, and then it had a little monitor. Because back then there wasn't a lot of like super tiny monitors, so I had to use something that I could just like number one afford, get something that was cheap but also full color screen. And so I put like an XT60 on the power input out, and it was actually 12 volt, so I could just use a 3S battery and power that little and I mounted it to a tripod. I put my TX on top with a little right hand circular polarized antenna, or no, actually back then it was I think it was a dipole. Yeah, it was a screw on dipole, because that was some of the only available uh, VTX and receiver combos that you could get back in those days. 1.3, but 1.3 is it is better for long range than 5.8. 5.8 is decent for about 3 miles out, 3 to 4, 5 to. I mean, I know people have been 6 miles out on 5.8, but if you're gonna fly further than like 2 3 miles, you definitely want to have a different, maybe even 2.4. They also do 2.4, which is popular. It's a smaller antenna system for a tripod. Well, yeah, 5.8. Like what you can do, what's pretty cool, is you can do a relay. So you do a 5.8 relay through your 1.23 antenna. Say you're doing a crosshair. They have these double crosshairs you can get too. I have an original one that's like this big. It's huge, mounted on tripod, and then you do a pass through back through to 5.8, and then you can run your 5.8 transmitter on like 25 milliwatt, sit right next to it with your 5.8 goggles, and be able to downlink your 1.3 video without having a 1.3 module in your goggles. And that's usually what I did, because I like to run that 1.3 on my wings and stuff. So that's I don't, yeah, and it didn't really, to answer your question too, it didn't really replace 5.8, because most people don't fly long range, and it it didn't replace it, but it's an option, right? You always have different frequency options, band options. But if you're going to run 2.4, then obviously you need to run 915 on your transmitter, because you're probably going to interfere if you're running 2.4 video and having a receiver with 2.4. You don't want to do that. And if you're flying with anybody that's flying a 2.4 receiver, if you're blasting 2.4 at like 1 watt or something, you're gonna interfere with your friend's data link to their drone. Amric D says, "Hi, can we have more information about the DJI Ban and what's the situation right now? How long does DJI will be not available? How long do taxes will stay high?" Well, the tariffs are pretty much here to stay for the foreseeable future, and they may get worse before they get better. But as far as the ban goes, the ban is likely to happen. So here's the thing. From what I get, there is some evidence to the fact that they have some data links with some data leaks with DJI streaming software. Now, if the DoD decides that that's a threat to national security, then we have nothing to say about it, and they're going to ban it. But with these executive orders, it speeds up this process. It was going to happen sometime this year, the next 12 months, right? Since the last bill went through. And so at this point, it squeezes that 12 months into a shorter window. and expedites the process of whether DJI will be banned or not banned. So that's where we're at right now with the DJI ban. All right, close your ears. Saw got hung up. That's what happens when you have a low power cheap saw. It looks like a fucking S, but it's just a chicken teepee. It's not the coop. So now I need 28 inches. So I've got 3 feet-ish. So now we need 28 here. I'm gonna have to mark that the other side. Yeah, so the ban is still possibly happening. I really hope not, because I'm a DJI fan. I hope that it's not a threat to national security, honestly. Like, but if it is, then we need to take action on that, right? Unfortunately. And hey, there are alternatives, right? There are alternatives. Not great alternatives, but there are alternatives. All right. Man, it's a messed up line. That saw blade got way off. I need a better quality saw. So I had a flight test on Friday, and like I was telling you guys, I did a flight with a new quad that's a bind and fly. It is in the upper echelon of like how expensive I think an 04 drone should be, but at the same time, like everything's expensive right now. And I'm comparing prices to like what they were, say, 2-3 years ago before all this happened. So expensive is relative these days, right? So what used to be $400 or $500 DJI bind and fly drone now it could be 600, right? So we're we kind of have to get used to the new norm, whatever this new norm is going to be, honestly. And that's the thing, right? What's the new norm? Getting used to that. But I will tell you, just like anything else, you better be able to do stuff yourself. Like, you better know how to solder. if you want to continue flying drones as well, you better have enough equipment laying around to get you through until there's enough American manufacturers. That's the thing. Like right now, we don't have enough American hobby manufacturers. I'm hoping that Trump and the folks in DC will kind of give some stimulus to some of those hobby FPV companies that can come out with new bind and flies on the regular, like we saw like 5, 6, 7 years ago. If that's ever going to happen, then we will have to kind of embolden the American FPV manufacturing. And the only way you embolden anything is with the right people and lots of money. There are definitely the right people out there to make that happen. It's just going to take like the two entities to like link up to the government side of and the people in the know, right? And hooking up those two factions, like, you know, it's person to person contact to make all that happen, and that can take a while sometimes to make those connections. L. Chington FPV says, oh, message retracted. He might be editing. This might have been my worst cut ever. 28 inches, people. I love building shit. I mean, one of the reasons why I started this channel was to show you how to build an FPV drone and a drone in general. Like back then, we were building DJI flame wheels way back. Your message popped back up. Chington FPV, when the American manufacturers come, don't expect to pay the prices we're used to. Labor costs are much higher, and that doesn't include regulatory costs. I mean, you're right, dude. You're right. You're right about that. Like, absolutely. Forget about the prices that we paid before, because those prices are probably never coming back. But I mean, hell, that's the same. This is true for milk and everything else too, right? Like what you paid for milk this year wasn't the same as last year, and it will never be the same as last year, probably ever again. But, and I think it really depends on certain items, right? Certain particular items, like all of our FPV drones are made with these what do they call them? The mineral, the not precious metals, but they're made with a mined resource that is in short supply and high demand, right? So short supply, high demand creates like higher prices. To see FPV versus V22, I'm with you there. I'm still flying. I don't give a damn. I mean, that's kind of how it was. Like in the early 2000s, after 9/11, like gas prices went like, and I was filling up my I mean, and I know they targeted me because I had an SUV, and back then it was like, oh, if you drove an SUV, then you had a gas guzzler. And this reporter came up to me at a gas station. She was like, "What are you going to do? What do you think about the doubling of gas prices? Are you going to cut back on your trips?" And I'm like, "No, I'm on the way to Florida right now for the weekend. I'm filling up my SUV and I'm going. I'm not going to do my trips. I'm still going to go on vacation. Even if like just weekend, I was a weekend warrior at the time. So yeah, we're going to keep on flying. And you're just going to have to piece together the parts that you can for the cheapest that you can. It's still the same game. You're still trying to piece together the parts for your drone at the cheapest price that fits your budget, whatever your budget is, right? Yeah, and try not to crash. Exactly. Fly it nicer than you used to, because the way I fly now versus the way I flew back in like 2015. Go back and look at some of my videos from like 2015. I was literally throwing boxes down the street and like skateboarding on top of them and doing all kinds of crazy stuff because stuff was in abundance. Like stuff was like we were getting like mountains of things back then. Manufacturing was like at an all-time high. I had more stuff to review than I had time for. It was like I needed 5 of myself to handle the amount of stuff that we were getting. It was crazy. It was cray cray. What are you guys up to today? Are you doing anything fun? You guys do anything this morning? Anybody go fishing or fly or play basketball? Whatever you guys do on Sunday. Oh, cool. Since 2007. Awesome. You mean 2017? Jason Murphy says I got some packs in today. Hell yeah. Just got back from church. Good for you, man. This is my church for today. I was watching Pope Bob. I call him Pope Bob. They were doing the Jubilee thing. There was a vigil. I'm not Catholic, but it was cool to see Pope Bob standing in this big like white open top vehicle, like going through the crowd. The American Pope. That's pretty cool. I'm not Catholic, but that's pretty cool. An English-speaking Pope. David Tordoff says, so what happened? What do you mean? Jason Murphy says, I've been out in the bush. What happened with the Trump orders? So he signed 2 or 3 different orders, and I mean, everything is still fine as far as like you being able to buy a Chinese drone. At this point, though, essentially what all the orders do, to summarize it, is it's going to make things harder, right? It's going to make things harder for you guys to buy overseas and then get it back through customs. So what was already hard to do 2 months ago, in the next 6 months will be even harder than it was before, because now they have to be on a federal assessment list. So companies like, again, like summarizing this, companies like GEP-RC and iFlight will have to get on the federal government's green list for importing their FPV drones, proving that their drones are not being used or sold to countries that are currently engaging in wars. Will I be able to get DJI 04 and 03 air units? For now, yes. And right now, I think they're in short supply on Amazon. So and they're also available for shipping to the US from the DJI website. So if you want to have those air units, I would order them. I would order myself a couple Pros because that's a better one, and maybe a light or 2. The lights break easy, so you want to buy extra cameras and camera cables. So don't just buy the VTXs, and like don't just buy the package. Also look for some camera wires in case you shear one of those in a crash, and then also try to buy yourself a couple cameras as well to have as a backup. But on all your cameras, you should also be running some type of UV filter over it to start. And you can also run, in the summertime when it's super bright, you can run the ND filters. And that'll just give you a little more protection if you do crash and not scratching your lens. Because once your lens is scratched, you're always going to see that in the camera while you're recording. And if you're not using it for professional, it's just going to be there to annoy you. L. Chingan says DJI is no longer importing goggles 3 to the United States. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't know. And they also skipped over us on the most current Mavic. No one in the U.S. was able to get the current Mavic except for the asshole people that they choose to send them to, the advertisers. I'm on the naughty list, even though if you know DJI way back when Colin Gwynn was like the guy for DJI. Colin Gwynn had a falling out with them. They sued each other. He was one of the original owners, shareholders, and after he stopped doing tutorials and stuff, he was great at what he did, successful. And then sort of after him, I was next, and then after I was the household name for DJI reviews, and they moved on to like Justine and Casey Neistat, people like that had millions of followers. So they started out with all the small guys helping them build up as a company, and then they forget the little guys that help get them started, right? That's how it usually goes. I glue the camera plug-in parts. You could do that, but you could also have a sever. You could have a severed cable. Unless you're saying you put glue on top of the cable, I don't know. It would be nicer if there was a way to strengthen it, but if you have a separation, if you have a total separation quad crash and like you pull that cable, it's going to get broken anyway. It's kind of, so I would order some extra cables for sure for your O3s or your O4s. My Mavic 4 Pro just made through customs on Friday. Wow, you're one of the lucky ones. MIPI cables. Yep, I know what those are. The chickens are panting. What about the baby chicks? Are they panting? Maybe they need some ice water with some ice cubes. So all the animals in the backyard are panting. There's the baby chicks. We got one crossbill. I don't know if you guys know what a crossbill is, but she has a super crossbill, this one. And that just means that she needs some assistance and care so that she can properly eat. And I'm on the fence right now about, she has such a crossbill that like I can't even trim it all the way down as far as it needs to be. I don't know how she's going to survive. They have a hard time eating with such a cross. The rest of the chicks are fine. But I do see them hanging out in the shade back there drinking water and panting. It's freaking hot today. Like it went from like chilly to like full on like summertime. This is like swamp ass temperatures here. But yeah, we usually bring them outside if we're outside during the day. We're doing stuff. So yeah, stock up. You know, sometimes like I've been called a prepper, but I'm not really a prepper. I don't have a whole lot of things, or you know, if there was disaster or whatever, and but in the case of like drone prepping for the hobby prepping, start buying stuff and collecting stuff and getting yourself a good stockpile of FPV drone gear, and get yourself some chickens. So like one of the things that I come across the prepper videos every once in a while too, and like they're always showing about like, you know, raised beds, garden boxes, and they're showing about all this starters and vegetables and taking care of seedlings and all this stockpiling of like canned foods and giant bags of rice from Costco, non-perishables, things like that. Rainwater collection, and you're not supposed to be allowed to do that either. Another thing you're not allowed to do. But one of the things that these preppers never talk about, and they talk about, you know, going to the range and practicing their rifle shooting and all that. in preparation. But one of the things they never talk about is they never talk about like training with their FPV drone. And to me, that's as important for any of the prepper guys as like vegetables or training with your rifle or anything like that. Like in my opinion, they should have FPV drone ranges on every American range. And those guys that are practicing their rifles should also be practicing FPV. Go chickens, go. Gonna give them some ice water.
Doesn't sound enough like the worms.
Yeah, you got to shake the worm bag. They'll come flying over to you. They're programmed to come running if they hear the worm bag. Let us know where you guys are tuning in from today. The hell yeah, absolutely train with your FPV drone. It might be a skill that comes in handy if shit ever hits the fan, for sure. You should be as trained with your rifle as your FPV drone, 100%. As a civilian, you never know when you might need to step up and do your duty, and at the end of the world, who the hell knows these days? Just want to be below ground. Alaska, awesome. Man, it must feel good up in Alaska compared to here. It's freaking hot as hell down here. Denver. You guys had some crazy stuff pop off in Denver recently with that anti-Israel guy was Molotov cocktailing people. Jesus Christ. I'm surprised that guy didn't get shot. If he'd have been on the East Coast throwing Molotov cocktails, somebody probably would have shot that guy. The back of my shirt is Columbus multi-rotors. These guys sent me this shirt a while back. Very kind of them. I've had this shirt for years. Still wear it. I think it was Columbus. Say Columbus, right? Yeah. Worn it for years. Still don't know what the hell it says. Scotland. All right, right on. I have a bit of Scot somewhere in this bloodline. Yep. I'm wearing the shirt today. One of my most comfortable shirts that I own. Whatever fabric this is like some kind of cotton blend. Man, this is comfortable. And these are military issue Oakleys that are ballistic lenses. So I could shoot with these. Have some eye protection. I caught a piece of shrapnel in the face at the range before I was shooting in what I call the can, and a piece came back and hit me right in the cheek, and I was bleeding down the face. Somebody said, "Man, you should tell the RSO you're bleeding." It happens. That's why you wear ballistic glass. Columbus, Georgia. Yep. Dude, I used to live in Georgia for 10 years. I lived in Savannah. I want to talk about something hot. Georgia. Holy shit. Georgia is hot. Y'all got heat, snakes, chicks, chiggers. But Georgia is a good state, man. It's got some of the best people I ever met down in Georgia. Some of the nicest, most down to earth, chill. I still want property like out in the middle of Georgia somewhere. You can get pretty cheap land in Georgia. I built myself a compound, an FPV Park. Whatever happened to that FPV Park that was supposed to be built never got built. That's a fact. Oh, you started Columbus Multi-Rotor Club in 2015. Freaking awesome, David. That's awesome. Hell yeah. Are you guys still flying? Are you still have members? A lot of the racing stuff, man. You know, I was talking to Chris Thomas recently, and if you guys don't know who Chris Thomas is, longtime friend of mine who started Multi GP, because he was asking me about a week ago. We were talking about IO on a phone call, and I was telling him that I never went to IO International Open. And I looked on to see it's in Muncie, Indiana, and so it's a gathering of pilots. You'll host 10 events this year per year. That's awesome. Thanks a lot, Bobby. Thanks for that. Give us a like if you can. Let's get that like count up to double what it is if we can. So like, yeah, I was telling Chris like I never went to IO just because I was too busy running the channel and doing all that stuff. But like things are a little bit slowed down now, and it'd be fun to be able to take a trip like that. I just couldn't get a plane ticket quick enough because when he asked me, it was literally like about a week prior to IO happening. So I can't just like get a quick plane ticket there. But I would definitely love to go. That would be fun. Like to go and hang out. It's tough to go to drone events because unlike RC airplanes and helicopters, you have to like coordinate together and make sure you're not blasting other people out or on the same channel firing up drones over in the pits and somebody else is going blind because you're blasting them out. Um, so I tend not to like to go to events as much because you don't fly as much, but you do get a lot of hangout time, which is cool. That's always fun to meet new people, make new friends, and hang out with folks. So I got one more cut to make on this. Hold your ears, press mute on your phone. The blade resistance. I think my battery's not charged up enough for this. This is how we do it. This is how we do it. Dave says, I believe I gave Rob that shirt to give to you several years ago. I think you might have when Rob was still in Oregon. It's pretty cool. Yeah, Bobby, I try to give you guys updated information. It's a good place to come because I'm obsessed with like keeping up with the news, especially coming from the White House, things like that. Like I know there's a lot of other channels that really get into it, you know what I mean? So I always been interested in like drone news. Definitely getting more into it in the past couple years. Like independent news source. I think it's a pretty big thing on YouTube right now. Independent news. God, dog is hot out in this mode. Ooh. Yeah, some of the stuff I do here is kind of like homesteading, which has always been like my second love, drones and kind of like making gardens, and we did all this stuff back here, me and Mrs. Camps together, just the two of us, making all this stuff happen. But when you have a family, it's like you got to provide and you got to keep doing stuff. And I don't know, I'm never not doing something. I'm always up to something. I'll still be working sometimes 11 o'clock at night, answering emails and just constantly, but that's kind of the way it goes nowadays. You're always accessible somehow. It's like that happens like, I feel like that happened about 15 years ago and it just never stopped. Like where you used to clock out at the end of the day and then you were just off doing your own thing. You know what I mean? I used to go bass fishing after work sometimes, or go kite surfing, and just be gone on the ocean. I miss that about being in Georgia, David. Like when I would get off work, I worked on the south side in Savannah. I get in my truck, have my surfboard in there waiting, and I would haul ass all the way out to Tybee. It's like from south side Savannah out to Tybee Island. It's about a 35-minute drive. I would make it in 20. I got reported by this lady one time going out to surf. She called the cops on me, and a cop pulled me over. And the only reason he could come up with, because he didn't actually catch me speeding, I just got reported for driving fast, and um, he was trying to figure out a way to like give me a ticket or something. I don't know, but just because I had been reported, and he looks down at my feet, and I think I was wearing flip flops, and I don't know if y'all know much about Georgia, but yeah, so he sees my feet and he said, I could give you a ticket for not wearing proper shoes while you're driving a vehicle. Apparently, you're not allowed to be barefoot, but I wasn't exactly barefoot, but according to him, I didn't have the proper footwear on. Um, and in Savannah, if yeah, let's just say they can make you a ticket if they want to. But even back then, I was friends with a lot of folks there in town that were on the police force, like the chief, and my next door neighbor was in the sheriff department, and the guy who actually was my landlord was in the DEA. So how about that guy as your landlord? Can you imagine Bot Grinder or somebody like that having a DEA as a landlord? I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure some activity is being done they don't approve of. Man, it's freaking hot. I need a glass of iced tea or some ice water out here. Davey said I had an aunt who lived in Pooler for a few years. Savannah has some great food spots. Hell yeah, Lady and Sons. She got banned from the food channel though for apparently saying the N word in her kitchen, calling people the N word. Which I was in Savannah for 10 years. I went to Savannah College of Art and Design there, and I remember like definitely some racism. Absolutely, 100% racism. Like I'm not, but man, I heard a lot of it, like from some business owners and things. Um, and y'all know how it is. I mean, you're not gonna like I was stick up for my black friends for sure. Because it was weird, man. It was weird. Like I had, I went to art school there, but I'll be hanging out with my friend, and I would, we'd be in a bar or something somewhere, and I would kind of forget my guy as a brother, and one of my friends was playing pinball one night, and this lady bumped up against his hand, and his hand touched her butt, and then like there was a huge fight broke out because she said something like this N word touched my butt, and um, man, that was sad because I mean, it wasn't really like a big knockdown, drag out fist fight or anything, but it was down on River Street, and we were in some kind of little bar, and we were walking home that night, and my friend was from North Carolina, and I kind of forgot that he was a brother, because I'm just know him as Antoine, right? And as a white dude, I'm not even thinking about that crap, and then like all that pops off, and then we're walking home, and he just starts crying, man, and it was such a long history of him being called that word that he said we were like 18, 19 years old, and he just said he was tired of it. Unfortunately, he said he had been called that since he was a little boy, and that's sad, man. David said you don't remember racism being a thing until Obama's presidency. Go back, yeah, it's always been a thing, David. My old boss in Savannah was from a small town in Georgia, and they had a billboard that said something like, "Don't be in our town after dark." True story. That's crazy. That's crazy. Super crazy. Scary. More than crazy, scary. That looks pretty good. I wanted a little bit of an overhang there. It's looking like I'm gonna get some overhang. God, dog, it's hot out in this mall. 30 plus Drew black friends in high school, but they wouldn't even talk much to me after Obama was president. Really? That's crazy. I feel like it's different out west. Like I felt like in Portland there was more of a separation, like um, between families and stuff. Different than the East Coast vibe. It was like totally different on the East Coast because I think we're more integrated on the East Coast. Honestly, there's less of it out here, it seems. But I mean, Portland historically was a freaking. They wouldn't allow any blacks in town. They had a little place outside of Portland where they allowed people to live that was in a really bad flood zone, and there was a disaster probably 100 years ago where it drowned a lot of people because they were made to live in this floodland zone, this flood zone. It's crazy. But it looks like my terrible cuts actually kind of line up good enough so that this is going to work out. And I've got just enough hardware over here to use on this. I'm using some premium hardware with hex bits. These chickens are high class, man. They got actual screws. That whole chicken palace right there. Like I saw somebody on YouTube that did my dream coop tour, and it had like almost 1 million views. And my chicken coop looks 5 times better than the one this girl was showing. But she's a girl. So yeah. Y'all know how that goes. My dream coop. Shit. This is a proper coop. It's got a freaking shed attached to it. This ain't no Home Depot urban coop. How's it going, guy? Guy actual? Yeah, it's weird, guy. We are pretty divided, and we shouldn't be that way. Closer as society, yeah, in a lot of ways, man. It's crazy now. But you know what? What comes down to it, like I feel like the polarization mostly is on the internet, and when you see people face to face, all that polarization stuff kind of goes out the window a little bit. It's not quite as polarizing on a personal level as it is on platforms like this one. Unfortunately, and look how many screws I have left here. From the last time I went to Home Depot and bought screws, the packs of these screws at Home Depot are about $35 to like $40 for a container of those screws. I think these are like deck screws, but they don't rust like the cheap stuff. They have this coating on them, and these are some of the best screws you could use to build things with. This whole entire chicken coop's built with those. And I just put some netting up a while back. I don't know if you guys can see that netting up there, but there's some netting. There's a pole on the outside right there to keep the hawks out of here. Because we had 2 chickens get hawked last year. Worst thing in the world, seeing one of your chickens torn into 15 pieces. Yeah, that's the reason why I didn't want to go buy another box of screws, because I'm trying to hold off on having to buy these screws. You can see they got the sort of hex. They're good, but they're expensive. So at this point, yeah, you're still able to buy a drone from China. Try to get these screws in and ready before I start holding it up. Can I get a Chihu? Dude, I deserve 1,500 million likes for how hot it is out here and streaming in this. God damn, it's hot. Yeah, David, I agree. We had very real conversations back then because we weren't talking to each other through phones and devices. Tegma FPV says, looking to get a backup 04 Pro. Nowhere has it in stock. Dude, since the last live stream, I told people in the last live stream, start stocking up on those 04s. I don't know if maybe people went and bought some of them, but if you don't have it now, you might not get it. If you don't have it by now, you will never ever. Do, 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 do. If you don't have your 04 by now. You may never, ever, ever, ever get it. Because it's Chinese. Chihu. I'm having to put these screws in at an angle too because they're a little bit long. Oh, dog, this one won't go to get in there. Come on. Freaking angle that. So, I don't know if you guys watch any like building YouTube channels, but one of my favorite channels is like you should look it up. It's something to do. I can't remember the name of it. It's called like hell, I can't remember the name of it. This guy builds he's rebuilding a chateau in France. It's pretty badass. And it started out as one guy with some construction equipment working by himself in this like 4-story chateau, like basically like a giant castle in ruins. The whole thing burned down back in the 40s and 50s. This woman was smoking a cigarette on the bed and fell asleep smoking a cigarette on the top floor, burnt the whole damn place down, and had been sitting in ruins for the last 50, 60 years. And he got it super cheap. And apparently there used to be some orphans and stuff that lived there. So he has a family now. He's probably in his mid 30s or so. And he's doing all this work. Now he has a bunch of other guys working with him and stuff. But you can see the progress over the past, like, I think I've been watching this channel for about 2 years. And man, they've made such progress. This week they've been working on putting up these copper covered window out of the tower. They're sticking out. It's the most awesome stuff ever. They have like a copper cutting machine. Looks like a big old like printer or something, like the old school Xerox printer. It's like 8 feet wide, but it runs a razor across and cuts the metal for them. And then they have to use that same machine to bend it and make 90-degree turns and stuff. It's freaking cool. I like shit like that. Loki says, is GPS worth installing on Cinewoop? Yes, I would say yes. Because if you're out at a distance in a field or something way out, I mean, if you go more than I would say if you go more than a couple hundred yards, yes. If you don't fly out further than a couple hundred yards,
probably not worth it. You could probably find it if it goes down, but you should always be running your beeper. So if you fly more than a quarter mile away, then yes. Tegma says the Avata 3 isn't even going to be out for another 2 years. I don't know about that. I think that the Avata 3 is getting pretty damn close to being released, dude. For some reason, I think that one's coming, and I would love to get a hold of one of those over the Neo. The Neo 2, I mean, if you had like a Meteor 75, you'd have a better quad than whatever the Neo 2 is going to be. Unless you're somebody who just wants to push a button and do a freaking selfie orbit, right? If you're getting it for FPV, if you're going to put goggles on, buy something else with a light or get the Pavo 20 Pro. You'll have a much better quad. Forget this selfie drone, girly drone. Oh my God. This is like the only project that I think I can even do today because it's so goddamn hot. Whew. Yeah, I would install one, but you need to, when you install it, you need to install that GPS, you need to field test it. Fly it out into, say, down a dirt road or something like that with nothing on both sides, and fly out 100 yards or so, or 200 yards, hit return to home, and if it does fail safe to the ground, just make sure you have it set up properly in beta flight. Watch the videos. If it drops to the ground, at least you'll be able to walk down the road and pick it up. If you fly it way out into the middle of the field somewhere with waist high grass and GPS return to home doesn't work right and it drops to the ground, you're going to have to go find it in a bunch of grass. So I always tell people to go find yourself a long dirt road, out in the middle of nowhere, and then fly it down that dirt road and test out your GPS. Just make sure that there's not a lot of trees on both sides of the road. That's why I told you, don't have, with nothing around, no trees, power lines, especially power lines over the road. If they're to the side of it, it's probably fine because your quad's not going to go like this. It's most likely going to go up and then start coming back. But make sure it's in a straight line that you're flying, not on a curved road. Obviously, I've got to say all the most obvious shit to people sometimes. I had a guy buy a private investigator bought an Inspire 1 from me years ago, and I shipped it to him, paid $3,000 some odd dollars for it, got it home. Him and his wife put it in the driveway, hit return to home in their driveway, and underneath trees in their driveway. So what do you think that Inspire did? It flew straight up into the trees and destroyed itself and fell down on the concrete. And then they called my shop, like wanting a refund or me to repair it. And at the time, DJI had just taken away our ability to repair things, so I wasn't able to fix it, or I would have. So I said, "Sorry, man, no refunds. You gotta send that back to DJI." I gotta get something to drink. Too hot up in here. Super hot. Hey, Fawn, thanks, man. Thanks for the compliments. Military issue Oakleys with ballistic glass. What are you doing, cleaning?
Yeah. Some patio parties. But I'm ready for it.
Yeah, it's about time for summer parties. Need some AC out here. We got that fan full blast.
Unless you've been living in
It's hot. It's got like the black camo on the side. Oakley's been doing stuff for the military for a long time. These are called gas can. You can get a civilian version of these too. You hope those EOs won't affect you while flying your tiny whoops. Yeah, that's yet to be determined. Right now, it's just going to be harder to order stuff. It's not banned, but it's going to make it harder for you guys to get orders through. And the companies have to be on the pre-approval list. They have to be on the green list. Federal government, not associated with any military activity. Oakley is expensive. I have no clue how much these are. I just saw that our local farm store, Wilco, has Oakley's on sale for 50% off. That's pretty good. I was about to buy a pair, but I already have like 5 pairs of sunglasses. So. Mrs. Camps wants me to buy more sunglasses. Right?
No.
Right?
Nope. I've been liking those gooder ones though, because they're cheap and they're good looking. Might order a few pairs of those. Anyone have the gooders?
She said she likes the company Gooder.
Anyone have those?
Anybody have Gooder sunglasses?
They're good looking.
They are good looking. Nothing new came out Trump-wise. Right now, we just have a green light on being able to still order FPV stuff from China. So you guys are still in the good on that, but it's going to get harder the next couple months. So like, it's not banned, but it's just going to be harder. So there's going to have to be a process of which, and I don't know how hard that process is going to be for these companies to get approved for these sales, but I think they're going to be vetted. So they're probably going to look at their prior sales, and they're going to track all of that, all the orders that have went out for the past who knows how many years, and they're going to decide probably if they're going to allow that company to sell to U.S. customers. So basically, yeah, stock up now, doomsday prep on your freaking FPV gear, and I'm not even joking. Like, I myself want to order some 04s because it's just going to be harder to get. I thought I was going to be able to get that whole teepee done, and I'm just sweating. I was going to knock that out. That's an easy job. That's like 20-minute, 30-minute job. David asked, what does that mean for batteries? Batteries, same thing. There is a company that I just saw just get started up that is an American company, and their sole job is to make UAV batteries. So you're going to see more companies popping up making batteries, but my worry about that is that they're going to be for commercial and private use. So, I mean, yay, great, they got federal funding to create LiPo batteries or lithium ions, but is it for police military use only? Like, and are they priced like 10x the price of a 6S 1300 milliamp battery? And I saw this company on LinkedIn, and I actually made a comment, and I told them to make a 6S 1300 for us. LiPo. Because a LiPo flies different for FPV freestyle than, you know, a Lion battery is. You can't take a Lion battery and slap it on your freestyle quad and go out and do freestyle. You'll kill it. 'Cause it doesn't like high amp draw. Converting your whoops to gas power. I like to see that. They're pretty cool. You get one of those little, what do they call them? Cox Micro B engines, little nitro. I'm about to stick my head in the freezer. It's one of those days where like, just want to. Man, somebody was in here earlier from Eastern Tennessee. You want to talk about hot? Tennessee Dust Bowl is no joke. That place is freaking hot. Tennessee is freaking slamming hot. I went to Bonnaroo for about 7 or 8 years in a row. And right now, Eastern Tennessee in June is almost unbearable. Thanks for the likes on the video. Yeah, I just wanted to give you guys a little Sunday update. I know some of you folks might have missed kind of what happened this week in the White House. And I think the biggest news out there that everybody's talking about is the breakup. The Trump and his son Elon have broken up. And you know, I told somebody too, this shit could be scripted. It's probably all scripted. Kash Patel was on Joe Rogan. They were talking about it. And JD Vance was on Theo Vaughn's channel. I watched some of that this morning. And, you know, Theo Vaughn is interesting. Like, he's like, politically, he definitely seems like he's on the Trump side. He was doing an interview with JD Vance from Kid Rock's house. But Theo Vaughn, he does strike me as he's like a closet liberal. Just like Elon. I told somebody the other day, he's a closet liberal. It's got to be all scripted, man. It doesn't even matter in the big picture. Like Rebecca says, it's all a distraction, like we've been talking about for the last since 9/11. You know, that's why it's good to turn that shit off and like go fly in your backyard or go out in a cornfield somewhere and just send it. You know. I gotta turn this lamp off because it's like 90 degrees outside. So all I need to be doing is heating up the garage with a heat lamp. No chickens in there. I wonder if I have enough energy to make it to do the rest of that chicken teepee. I saw this stuff on the internet. They were building these things that chickens get under. You put like a tire. Put a tire under it. And then they can go under there and take their little dust baths. Elon gets the libs back. You know what's crazy about that? It's like, I mean, check this out. So literally the day that all went down, you remember Elon made that comment about Trump's pork infested bill. And I think a lot of that was a fight about something about the federal tax credits and things like that getting stopped for his cars, EVs in general. So like, as that happened, it was like, on literal social media, the same day I saw people saying, "Oh, finally, I agree with something again. I agree with Elon again." So it's like the very same day that that went down, you had people like siding up with Elon all over again after they've been hating on him and doing, spray painting swastikas on the side of Teslas. So it's like, you change your mind that fast. And then next week he'll probably be back, But I jokingly said, like, Elon's he's a closet liberal. Sometimes I think he went in there just to try to get what he wants as a business owner, like more of a business thing than a political thing for Elon. I think it's all about the money. You know what I mean? Like, I think these guys will be any party that people want them to be, as long as they can get the incentives. Depending on what business sector, people are in. That's definitely how people game the system. Like, and apparently came out that, like, he was on mushrooms, ecstasy, and Adderall during the campaign. No wonder he was jumping around and shit on stage and acting like a maniac. It kind of reminds me of some of our YouTubers. If you look at some of these YouTubers are super hyped up on their live streams, and I swear to God, some of them have done meth before they like do their live stream. They're just so freaking pumped. It's crazy. Like, no one talks that fast during the day unless they're on something. I'm not going to name names, but there are FPV YouTubers out there who may be on meth. Disclaimer, maybe. Suspect. Like they say, a duck is a duck, a shark is a shark. Guy Actual says suppressors are going to be liberated from the NFA. Maybe. And yeah, the drugs appeal to some. Yeah, they do. I mean, what if as long as you're not hurting other people. A lot of people self-medicate out there different ways. The way that I self-medicate is what I call a tasty drink. And that's like this is kind of ridiculous. It's a Whole Foods, like, 0 sugar cola. I like cola. So I have that, or I have like an IPA. I'm not like straight edge. Hey Dennis, welcome to the stream, man. You're having issues hearing me. You have the volume turned up. It may be this mic's on the inside of the shirt. I can move it. It may be that it's overheating because I was outside for about an hour. This thing's nice. It has a little magnet that sticks to the clip, so you can put it under your shirt. It's just more comfortable to wear it like that than like putting it like tucked inside the collar. And sometimes when it's tucked like this, I feel like it drags on the shirt too, like, or get it. They do this thing where they end up tucking under backwards like this for some reason. I don't know why. They're like top heavy, but they like tuck back and then they get stuck up against your chest, and then that really muffles the phone, or the mic. Guy Actual says, no problem with people doing anything they want unless it imposes on your rights. For sure. Oh, good. I'm glad you guys here. I'm looking at the levels. Like, I have the DJI receiver over there on the phone. I can see my monitor levels are about 3/4, a little under 3/4. If I talk louder, I probably get up into about the 75% mark on the display right there.
Well, I love this DJI mic. Like, I bought it with Patreon money about 3 months ago. It's about $200 and some, but you get two mics with it. It's not the mini version. It's like the full size version with two mics and a little case. It's like a charger. It's pretty awesome. And when you take it out of the case, everything automatically turns on. You just soldered the last component on my Josh Barbell 3-inch. Added GPS and a buzzer. Awesome. Probably over 250. LOL. I mean, probably. So the other part of that bill, getting back to the bill, the other part of that bill is allowing police force to have, because of the New Jersey thing, which was also probably some type of scripted event, which seems to happen quite a bit when we need new laws to be passed or new legislation, and or they want more toys, surveillance toys. So that whole event happened, and part of this new EO is for local and state to have more counter drone technology. So not only is it going to be harder for you to buy stuff, it's going to be easier for them to detect you if you're doing anything out of order. So like if you're doing something nefarious, like or flying too close to a hot zone or a geofence or something like, or if you go outside of the no-fly zone geofence, it'd be a really good idea for you in the next like couple years to make sure that wherever you go fly is not close to any type of sensitive installations, i.e. your butthole. I saw on the Teslas, if you say open butthole, the charge door will pop open. I don't know why that's funny. It just is. I wish my Sprinter van would do that. Dave says, would I consider moving back to Georgia or Southeast? Yeah, for sure. Maybe one day when I retire, I can kind of go where I want. I think everybody has that sort of dream, just to be able to, like, you know, it's my kids' mom's parents. They have a place down in Arizona, and they play golf in the winter down there, and then they live up here in the summer. I don't think I'd ever want to live in the Southwest, though. It's too hot. Got some good fly spots down there. It's just too hot. Like, Justin Baru says, what Trump ordered? He ordered a whole bunch of shit, man. He ordered tighter restrictions on Chinese imports and pre-approval assessments for Chinese drone companies to be able to sell their things to you. So it will be harder in the next 6 months to buy things than it was before, but they're not banned, in a long story short. Also, nothing has changed as far as stock goes. Everything is still pretty much out of stock just about everywhere. So if you're watching the live stream right now, pull up your browser and go to sub250.com and let me know on there if they still have Goggles 3 available or it's out of stock. So go to sub250.com and search for Goggles 3. Because on the last live stream, someone said that Sub 250 had Goggles 3. I know Johnny D was trying to find some Goggles 3 before all this stuff goes out of stock. But things are in super short supply everywhere. So that's the thing right now that we're dealing with. So super short supply, and I told people to basically be preppers for a worst case scenario if stuff gets completely banned. If you don't start now or haven't already started like stocking up some of the FPV stuff that you need, one day when you least expect it, you might be just able to buy American FPV stuff. So I do know companies that are working on things right now. They're working on the ELRS radio. I know another company that's working on a 5.8 transmitter. It would be the first available one in the US.
Justin Baru says he can't find O3s anymore. That sucks. Dennis Smith flew Maz 7 yesterday at the beach. Oh my God. And to tell you, drones can't surf the waves. ESC and O4 Pro don't work any longer. Really? And the battery in salt water shorts out faster than a spike drove through it. Yeah. So as soon as anything metal or has electric current flowing through it touches salt water, instant corrosion and instant destruction. And maybe your camera doesn't have water in it. I bet the camera might be fine because those O4 cameras or O3 cameras are super sealed up. They do have really good seals. They're almost waterproof. But your VTX is toast. Years ago, I crashed a Phantom. I think it was a Vision Pro 2. The Phantom 2 Vision Pro into saltwater. Some windsurfers found it like 3 weeks later, and then they tried to they made me pay them $50 to get my drone back. But the only way DJI, even though I was a DJI dealer, and had a store, they made me send them the saltwater corroded drone back, and only then they offered to sell me a new one for $500 versus $1,300 at the time. So the best they could do for me as a dealer was to make me pay $500, probably what their cost was. So I mean, they have more than a 50% markup on their drones. And now I bet it's even greater because they have more manufacturing and cheaper cost manufacturing. Because they may be, according to the internet, producing drones in the Chinese slave region. What were they called? I think they were called the Uyghurs. What's my opinion on the best analog camera? I think the best analog camera right now, if you could find it, probably would be some of the. I think one of my favorite ones was the Cadex. Oh my God, what was the name of it? I haven't run analog cameras in so long, I can't remember the name of it. The most popular one out there for a long time was these micro. Oh God, what was the name of that? The Runcam Nanos were good. There's a Cadex camera. It'll come to me. I mean, you gotta consider it's been 5 years plus since I've been really flying a bunch of different analog cameras. And now a lot of times they're using the Cadex Ant. Don't get the Cadex Ant. That one sucks. I'm not a fan of that. It's too small. This is 4 whoops and it's really low resolution. Can an oxidized motor burn an ESC? Yes, it can. Because the motor's not functioning right. Any dysfunction of the motor or even like sand into the magnets can cause an ESC to get disrupted. There's Johnny D. Welcome to the stream, brother. The Rattel, thank you, Johnny D, comes in and answers the question for the crowd. Cadex Rattel, baby. That's what it is. The Starlight one, even better. Get the Starlight. Welcome to the stream, Johnny D. Yeah, the Cadex Rattel, one of the best cameras of all time for analog purposes. So if you can find some, buy yourself 2 or 3 of those, and like 2 years from now, you'll be thanking yourself for getting them. Guy Actual says I'm replacing the Ant and the Mobile 7. Also ordered some 1002 series motors. Heck yeah. But the Rattel is not for whoops. The Rattel is for 3, 4, and 5 inch quads. It's a micro class cam. It's not a nano cam. Johnny D, I don't know if they made nano size Ratel or not. I don't think they did. You don't own any other camera. I don't blame you, man. You're set forever with a Cadex Ratel. So I recently got an email from Cadex, and they were asking me if I wanted to review something coming up. So hopefully we get something new to play with on the channel coming up, and I'm hoping that it's some kind of like they've been advertising this HD system that they're supposed to come out with that's supposed to rock everybody's world. I know that a couple of the YouTubers were kind of like suspect about that, but I don't know. I have to see when I get it, see how it performs. Some of the new HD systems that I've got in the past would like not even link up correctly to the goggles, like, and needed all kinds of firmware updates, and then the firmware updates were not good, and just a total. I mean, I coming from a DJI type experience where when they send us something, it just works, and like analog, 95% of the time just works. So when you have to screw around with SD card firmware updates and bin files and downloading stuff and restarting, and it doesn't take the update, it's just guy. Actually, you're ordering for a 10-inch Polaris and a Demibot. Nice. They released a statement, Smile, back, and that made you believe they were focused on a low latency, lightweight camera. It's got to be some kind of camera system. If I knew, I couldn't tell you because I'd be under some type of NDA, but I don't have any NDAs or anything like that. But I don't know what it is. Justin Brew says, is it really worth getting the whole 04 Plus new goggles? I'm on my goggles FPV2, and you don't really want to make the change. I would say if you want the 04s, it's worth the upgrade. If you want to be able to fly older VTXs, then no. Because you can't fly the older stuff with your goggles too, unfortunately. I have some older Air unit and Cadex Vistas, and the goggles I have don't work with those. Oh, Guy Actual said Smile was error. They had some type of error. David says, I don't understand why the U.S. doesn't help build manufacturing infrastructures in Mexico, Central America. That would help diversify, keep away dependency from China, keep the cost low, and with immigration. I mean, manufacturing out of Mexico is just going to be sketchy no matter how you choose to do it, unless you're Toyota or some major billion-dollar company. If you're a startup and you do manufacturing in Mexico, it wouldn't be my first choice. Unless you have really big connections down there, people you trust. Anybody that owns a house down there probably knows about that. I had a friend retire recently, late last year, and moved down to Costa Rica. Big guy on the channel, always making some comments for the past like 10 years. Like he's been flying drones forever. Used to fly drones for the Portland Police Department. Man, they did some cool stuff. And, you know, they had a dependency on DJI, and now with the Matrice, like, they still have a dependency, and a lot of that stuff's being banned for first responder use, which is really difficult for them. Justin says, do you think the impact of DIY drones being used in war is going to kill the hobby? No, I don't. I don't think it's going to kill the hobby. In a way, if you want to kind of look around the noise and you want to look around some people speaking like that, I think in the long run, it's going to stimulate it, because what happens is when all of a sudden they become very important for wartime use, I think that makes the federal government and governments realize that, hey, like fostering FPV drone hobby in our country is very important for the future of the safety of your country. Like, you know, China is not stupid. They've been subsidizing their own FPV programs and races and stuff like that for a decade, when a lot of times in the US we were just quick to ban things and overregulate things, and sometimes making innovation harder to do, because you have to jump through so many hoops to do anything. People walk away from it. They're like, this is just too complicated, like, to even get anything done. So I'm just going to go start a hot dog cart. You know, I mean, I'm just going to go do something easier. I'm going to sell vacuum cleaners. You know, when something is too hard to get through the bureaucracy, it stifles innovation. So I think that's a lot of what Trump's trying to do right now, is he's trying to deregulate some of the regulations that are holding tech companies back from innovating and keeping up with the rest of the entire world. Guy Actual says, guns are critical to the security of our free state. People may not agree with drone development. I think a lot of people do agree with drone development. You got certain crowds out there that think drones are now should be considered 2A. But you're not allowed to arm any drone. If you do, it's like life in prison or something like that. But you do have people out there that say, like, they think they're like, they should be like considered like 2A type of items, the right to defend yourself, or bear arms, so to speak. Brothers and Bolts says, yeah, that's a big problem I'm running into, trying to innovate totally new drone control system, but getting parts to build and innovate with are next to impossible to get. It is, man. And even on like the, you know, even on the federal level, like it's not classified information or anything like that. Like some of these guys are having to use like their own personal money to fund any type of innovative projects they're working on. Like they're having to put their own money out of their own pocket and buy shit off Amazon to make a product that may change the world, which is kind of crazy. Because they can't get, like, it's too hard to get like federal funding for an insanely cool project that you need help financing. What's the definition of arming a drone? You're building a system that will inject massive malware wirelessly. Already have the proof of concept, a drone and payload built. That idea has definitely been around for 10 years or more, since RC airplanes could fly over buildings. People have been trying to do that type of thing. I don't know the logistics of federal law surrounding. I do know that it's highly illegal to infiltrate someone else's Wi-Fi network. If you tested it with your own Wi-Fi network, you know, that could be something. But as long as you're not, like, you know, hacking into your neighbor's Wi-Fi. But I'm not a lawyer. I'm not here to keep you out of jail. You need to know the right people. Exactly. You need to know the right people, and not just the right people that believe in what you want to do. Yep. And finding those right people is a challenge for a lot of people. So we're getting some new countertops in here. Right now we have, I call them camo countertops. They look like camouflage. My lady wants some of those nice white countertop, quartz countertops, like the man-made stuff that's supposed to be more durable. And we're playing around with some tiles for backsplash too, up against the wall over there. So one day when you see a flying video in here, I'm finally gonna be able to find a bolt if I drop a bolt on the counter. That's my thing. Like, she just wants it to look pretty, but I want to be able to find a bolt. It would be nice not to have, because we have these are tile, so we have grout, and each one of these, you know, if I'm doing like bread or something like that, it's kind of, it gets stuck down, and the flour gets stuck down in the grout. Kind of sucks. It'd be nice to do all that stuff with a nice flat surface. We make pasta too. I get the kids making pasta. It's super simple. 8 Fawn says every citizen should be gifted a free 5-inch on their 18th birthday, or at least a tiny whoop, right? Like, it would be very smart of the government to issue some FPV drone goggles and an FPV drone to every person turning 18 for sure. Teach them how to fly FPV. You know, there's a company, Palmetto State Armory, and they have some of the cheapest ARs out there. And like, you know, I said years ago, like, man, this would be, they should subsidize like being able to come get your with training, of course, and proper training, be able to get your AR. Like, every citizen should have that right to training, and you know, as a citizen, let's make a really strong state if people that had the choice to learn how to use an AR properly had access to that. But we're already loaded down with guns in the United States, so it's not like we have a need or a shortage of trained people. You got grandmas around here who can shoot a quarter off a fence at a quarter mile. But yeah, every person should learn how to fly FPV, in my opinion. All these preppers that don't know how to fly FPV, they learn how to jar their own stuff and, you know, building all these bunkers and all this stuff, but they don't know how to fly FPV. It's one of the skills that you would want to know how to do in the future. I mean, in 2025, if there's any kind of conflict or whatever. WireGuard and PGY VPN. Yeah, there's a product out there in the security market. I mean, there's a new product per minute, just about, it seems like, recently. And with the new executive orders, we're going to see more of those products come out for surveillance purposes. That's going to definitely be ramped up. So, you know, it's not a good idea to go gorilla whoop in Times Square. Probably not going to get arrested, but it's going to signal detection. That's why I'm talking about this. Doesn't really matter what size drone you're flying. Signal detection in the next 6 to 12 months to 24 months is going to be ramped up exponentially. And I saw recently that they were talking about a deployable aircraft that they could launch and intercept, like a rogue drone. Now, if they launch something and intercept your tiny whoop flying 3 feet off the ground in a park somewhere, that would be pretty impressive. And that would be another example of, you know, spending way too much money for ridiculous response. And what they want to do is mitigate between, like, somebody flying a tiny whoop and someone actually using it for a crime. It's like out on Tybee Island in Georgia. There was this one guy who kept dropping his kite offshore, and they would fire up the Coast Guard helicopter. Just to start that thing up was like $2,000. And then it would fly all the way from Savannah. They'd come out there, and then the guy would be gone because he wrapped his kite up and walked off the beach after he swam in. And by the time the helicopter gets out there to come rescue some guy, you'd have women, old ladies on their beachfront property saying, "Oh my God," he called it 911, and "I just saw this guy parachute out of a plane and he landed in the ocean and he's drowning." Like, no, he didn't parachute out of a plane. He's kite surfing. It was like in the early 2000s. So the same kind of shit happens with drones. People make all kinds of ridiculous reports. And even more polarizing now, like than 20 years ago. We had to start up the Tybee Island Kiteboarding Association just so we could stop some of the idiocy that was happening out there, because they just wanted to ban it. They wanted to ban kiteboarding out on Tybee Island. And that's the first thing people want to do, is they want to ban it because they're afraid of it, or they think it's a nuisance. So we went to city council. We got with the new mayor, who was also a surfer. So he kind of understood we weren't raising a ruckus out there. And we had a meeting with the Coast Guard, and we told them, we said, let's do a system where, if you guys have, like, it was the same repeat offenders all the time. It was the same dude who was like from Czechoslovakia or somewhere. He kept, we called him the Crazy Czech. And dude, just offshore, kiteboarding out miles. And, you don't go out further than you can swim in, right? He would go out miles and miles out and then drop his kite. The wind would die, and then he wouldn't be able to get back in. He'd get picked up by the Coast Guard. He got picked up 6 times. And so when we met with the captain, we said, how about we do a 3 strikes and you're out kind of thing? But what you should do is, if it's $2,000 to start the helicopter, you should charge people when you go out and pick people up out of the water. If you have to go pick them up, you actually get them out of the water, charge them $2,000 for a helicopter ride, $2,000 to $5,000, and they won't do that again. Drone boarding, it's been invented. People have done that. You should look it up on YouTube. Drone boarding has definitely already been invented, but yeah, hell yeah. Swarms of hobbyist drones. I would like my own hobby drone swarm to pull me on my surfboard. Because the more drones you have, the less battery they use, because they're all working together, right? So if we had 50 hobby drones, that might get us out there riding for about, how long do you think we could ride for? It'd be kind of terrifying, though, like to have it come down on top of you, though, or have one go get screwed up. Brothers and Bolt says, if my firmware gets finished, you could very well have swarms. Finish that firmware, dude. Swarms of hobbyist drones. We did some swarms with hobby drones back in 2014. We used Argipilot. Yeah, living next to a military base is not going to be good for backyard whooping. But honestly, I don't think that. I think if you're putting that signal out there on a regular basis, and they know it's coming from a residential spot, and these guys know who you are, right? It's like if you live next to a military base, 100% they have vetted you already. They know exactly who you are. They have the intel on you and everything you've ever done. If they have your social security number, they know all about you. So if you're flying your tiny whoop in the backyard, they see your purchases. They see you bought this little toy drone. Everything is electronically logged nowadays, and they know you're not a jihadi or have connection to any jihadist type activities. You're probably fine, as long as you don't go out in your backyard and start running around in a turban and a sheet, or start running toward the fence. Don't do that. We used to kite surf across from Mayport Naval Base down in Jacksonville, Florida, and like I always wondered, like this was right after 9/11 too. This was like 2002, and we're like making runs back and forth across this little bay, and there's destroyers like right across this little bay, and yeah, I was joking with one of the guys one day on the beach, and I said, I dare you to throw on a sheet around you and start hauling ass over there toward that destroyer's screaming Allah Akbar. I was like, I wonder how far you'd make it across that bay before they hit you with a 60 cal just for fun. Pop, 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 pop. Your ass will be grass. Fuck. Look like Swiss cheese. They hit you with the turret, just sitting there waiting for some Ali Akbar. Aloha snack bar. Hell yeah. I appreciate you too, Patriot. Thanks for being on the live stream. Pink mist. You damn right about that. Nation about to change. Oh man, we're always changing. But I told you, get those FPV skills up. It's very important that you know how to fly FPV. Because if it ever looks like Ukraine over here, which it won't, that would be a good skill to know. You know what I mean? Every person should learn how to fly FPV. Better learn now than if there was a conflict in the future where you needed to go in a backyard somewhere with 35 other people trying to learn how to fly FPV to help protect the nation. Like that's what the Ukraine had to do. They're training people that like are grocery store checkers and things like that. Like, you know, a guy actually said preparing is what got me into FPV. Yeah, as it should. Like, knowing how to fly FPVs, in my opinion, is just as important as knowing how to clean a rifle or shoot a rifle properly. You won't hear any other YouTube channel say that, but that's the truth. 10-inch will have a thermal gimbal. Hell yeah. I know FLIR's making some nice small ones. You know, it'd be badass if you could have a thermal optic on your drone, which was like fed down to your optic on your rifle, and that was like a real-time rangefinder, a built-in rangefinder for your drone's up 100 feet above you, and you could point the drone anywhere and have an automatic range find. I'm sure that probably already exists, but that'd be pretty badass. There's all kinds of ideas out there for new products. It's for OPSEC. That's giving me ideas. Yeah. Do you think that someone could make a war FPV simulator? It probably exists somewhere on the internet, but yeah. I mean, I think there's a Ukraine. I actually think there's a Ukraine FPV game. Like, it's not PlayStation, but I think there's an actual FPV like Ukraine game. This is crazy. I saw it like 6 months ago or something on the internet somewhere. So yeah, there's definitely an FPV war simulator. Patriot First, anyone have experience with Cadex having super fragile cameras? the camera kissed the pavement and no longer works. Anytime you touch pavement, you're gonna probably have something break. Arma 3 says Guy Actual. 80 Fawn says it's already been done. Yep. I believe Arma 3 has an FPV DLC. I would like to see the military version of that, whatever simulator that would be. That'd be pretty epic. And knowing somebody like Palmer Luckey could probably make a really badass one, since he's the creator of Oculus Rift. Velocidrone has a battle mod add-on. That's cool. That's super cool. So Velocidrone is probably one of the most realistic simulators out there. If you guys are looking for a really good simulator that you can play around with at night and just practice your muscle memory, Velocidrone is definitely one of my favorites, as far as like the real versus computer feel. Like, it feels more real. The kinetics of it feel more real. That one, and I think Liftoff is pretty good too. Liftoff also has a Tiny Whoop version, I believe, and a lot of people like the oh man, what was that other one that was super popular? It had a weird name. You guys could probably drop it in the chat. The footage of drone footage in the Ukraine is really rough. Just watch one video and I was done. It is rough video because it's analog. It's 90% analog or 99% analog. Recently with the Ukraine thing, I saw that they used like either Signal or some type of app to live stream over the 4G cellular network. And it looked pretty clear, but it was like, people said it looked really laggy because they were streaming over 4G. Yeah, heck yeah, it's probably seconds behind what was actually happening. So you'll notice in those videos, they like hover over the planes and you can see like the most terrible FPV feed ever, but it looks like HD, almost like phone quality. And so I knew it wasn't analog when I first saw it. I was like, oh. And I was thinking it was ArduPilot or something like that, but apparently it was something different. But man, that was like one of the craziest. That was like some James Bond shit right there. That was crazy. Uncrashed. Guy Actual said uncrashed. Yeah. That's a good one. Z-Tag is a great real life training tool. It's not about the video quality. Yeah, I guess if you're on a military mission, it's not about how pretty it looks, right? But you do need to be able to see what the hell you're doing, right? But if you can't see like a $2 billion bomber sitting there on the runway, you're probably blind. YouTuber, he gets tons of behind the scenes stuff. I think it's hard to watch. It's super terrifying. I remember watching Civ Div video on it. Sad. Yeah, I've seen Civ Div. It's wild to me, like that. Like, some people will start YouTube channels. He's not using his real name or anything, but like, it's not hard for facial recognition technology and things like that to figure out who people are, especially on like a government level. Like, if you're Ninja Eye, they could probably still figure out who the hell you are. That's voice recognition software and all that shit. So it's like, but if you're toting around an AR all day, you're probably not too worried about it. Yeah, those channels are wild. Super wild. Civ Div's a wild man. He's in it to win it, so to speak. Man, I'm still trying to hydrate. Dude, yeah, you know, I haven't talked about that a lot on my channel either. Like, I'll tell you, I watch a lot of that stuff online, just like probably you guys do. I just don't talk about it too much because I try not to get too much into the war stuff. Because YouTube has this weird suppression thing already. And ever since I think ever since 2022, a lot of our YouTube channels that feature FPV have been not favored by the algorithms because all of a sudden, anytime I upload anything to do with FPV, it's like they're telling me that I'm not allowed to keyword anything like Ukraine war or blah blah blah. And I think just mentioning the word FPV in a video is the same thing as saying like fuck when you're trying to get it monetized. So um, yeah, that kind of sucks for FPV channels because the FPV channels have definitely been suppressed, like squashed, unless it's some kind of idiotic um, stunt or something that goes viral. Like the favorable ones on YouTube. You know, Mr. Beast. If Mr. Beast ever did an FPV video, you can guarantee it would be 50 million views. They should have an FPV challenge. So we are here today. We got some more people in the room now. We're here today. We were talking about the executive order and like what's going to happen going forward. And the primary message in this stream so far has been like to get all of if you need it, you better get it soon because like stuff was already in short supply and it's about to be way less because these executive orders have not banned it, but they've made it. They're going to make it harder for you guys to get stuff that you need to get. So if it was hard 2 months ago, it's going to be even harder 2 months from now. But yeah, some of those videos, man, that people have been watching, like as far as if you watch any of the Ukraine stuff, it is terrifying. It's super sad to see someone scrambling on the ground, trying to get away from an FPV drone because, and I think about it from my piloting perspective, like, geez, man, there's no way to get away from it unless you run and dive in the bushes. And even then, like, you know, an explosion, like, is hard to crawl away from through tree branches or anything like that. Like, the only place you'd be safe is underground or inside a building. Even inside the building, they've been able to fly through a window or crash one drone into a window pane, knock that window pane out. The next drone behind it flies through the window pane, and then bam. So, and the same thing with the netting. They'll do this thing where they fly through the netting, make a hole in it, and the next drone behind it comes in through the hole that the first drone made. Aluminum foil helmet. But yeah, it's sad and terrifying. Like, geez. Guy Actual says, beyond the difficulties, it would be more expensive by 30%, at least 30%. I've seen a lot of them on Funko's channel. Some of them seem to be cruel. I'm not a fan of drones versus persons. Yeah, man, it's really sad to see that. Like, because I started my whole thing with the hobby. I've done a lot of police and SWAT team type support, and you know, catching criminals and things like that, like with drones and using drones for recon purposes, stuff like that. I haven't got really into the nefarious type sides of things like that. Um, it's just it's sad to me to see such a fun thing turn into such a dangerous type of thing. Um, it's so weird to see that transition to me, because I remember when it was just like we were just like, I mean, we still are looking at it from a fun perspective, and my channel was all about the fun perspective side of things. I don't glorify any type of um, people being hurt or things like that. Yeah, and I mean, you know, video games are probably the same way. Like, video games started out nice and innocent, and eventually they're used for, you know, training simulators and things like that for more nefarious type things. Yeah, Zath System says fiber optic drones. You know, fiber optics are definitely harder to stop. I could definitely see that, but the downside of fiber optic is that when they run that line out, there's a straight line back to you from wherever you ran that fiber optic out. So if you have a space, and probably whenever they're doing fiber optic, they're not doing it from where they're building from, say building their drones from or whatever, because it's a straight line back to where you're at. And now they're creating devices that can track those lines back. So if you go out with that line, there's new technology that can track that line back to your location. So whenever there's an answer for something, I would say like everything is hackable. And if it was made by a man, it can be unmade by a man type thing. So whenever they come out with new innovation, it's always like there's always another way to stop that or reverse engineer that. But yeah, so at this point, you guys need to be like FPV preppers. Maybe I'll be the first FPV prep channel, because you know, I think in 12 months to 24 months from now, like, it's gonna be hard to find anything, like, because our supply for the FPV hobby is going from having so much gear available all the time to barely having enough at all, or everything's out of stock. At least for like DJI type stuff, like Goggles 3 and 04. And that's like top shelf premium shit right there. So, yeah, jamming devices, anti-jamming devices. That stuff's always evolving. And it's changing. It is changing a lot, like day by day, especially over in Ukraine. They're so innovative. It's crazy. Kaizo, welcome to the chat. What's going on here? Just doing a little FPV prepper talk. You know, telling you guys to stock up after the latest executive order. Get whatever FPV drone it is you can get right now that you want. Something small to start out with, your medium-sized drone, and your big one for later, when you learn how to fly good. Patriot First says could be the hobby will actually be recognized. So, Patriot First, you are right about that. Now here's a weird thing. So, and I'm gonna end this stream pretty soon. But here's a weird thing before we really wrap it up, is the fact that it is recognized more now than ever before. no one gave a crap about FPV, say 5-6 years ago, until Ukraine stuff started popping off, and then people were like, "Oh damn, that's crazy." Here comes Butters. You want to say hi to Butters? And so then now it's become like a necessity, right? It's like a necessity for, I mean, every single country in the world is focusing on it now for their training because of places like Ukraine. So now it is very much more recognized than it was 5 years ago. So yeah, definitely it's more important now than ever before. So hopefully that importance stimulates like the hobby side of things. Come here, Butters. This is Butters. What a nice girl. She's so easy to hold. She's the nicest one we have, I think. Don't fall. Just trying to pet the countertop. Most importantly, don't poop. FPV chicken. Imagine a little tiny set of FPV goggles on this chicken. She's like 3 weeks old now or something like that. 3? I think she's 3. 3 weeks? 3, 4 weeks. She's gonna be a good layer. Oh, she found some hair on my wrist. She wants to eat. Ow! She needs a beak trim, actually. She's got a little sharp piece on the end. I saw. What is it called? What is it called? Crossbeak. So we have a crossbeak chicken, a really bad crossbeak. I don't know how the hell we're gonna raise that chicken. It's a special needs chicken. What's that? Don't say that. Well, I mean, bad crossbeak. Not this one, obviously, because her beak is perfect. She's perfect. Butters.
It didn't come crossbeak.
No, it didn't come crossbeak. Sit on my shoulder.
Yes.
Let's see her. Let's see if she'll be my parrot. There you go. Don't jump down, please. And don't poop. You think, Butters? It's a good thing I don't have like shiny earrings. You can do the first chicken FPV of YouTube. Hell yeah. I love my birds, man. In the past 5 years, I've been lucky to have them. They're pretty awesome. It's pretty nasty to deal with the coop and stuff like that, but like it's pretty peaceful in the coop. This is our crossbeak.
Help.
Yeah, look at that. Her nickname is Derp. Look at the camera. Nugget. It's got a hella crossbeak. So that makes it harder for her to eat. She has a hard time.
Help us.
So I had to like so aggressive to the left. Foul person view. Chicken jockey. Yeah, that's right.
We've been watching our own YouTube videos. I'm gonna bring them all in.
You're gonna bring them all in?
Put them all on top of you.
So right now we have 4. Butters wants to get down. She's chilling now. Chicken CPU VTX never overheat. They were panting earlier. It's like 90 outside, and all of them were like in the bin, like panting. Yeah, I have a special needs child. I have a autistic son. He's mildly autistic. So yeah, we're all right with.
Sugar
a
is
special
spoiled.
needs chicken. Like say like Ohana. Like Ohana means no one gets left behind, right? If you watch Lilo, and you watch the new Stitch movie, no one gets left behind. So now she's putting all the chick. Like I'm gonna have to change this Columbus multi-rotor shirt. This is Sugar. This is Butters, and this is Nugget, aka Derp, because she got the derp. She got the derp mouth. Never seen this on a drone channel, have you? We do. We have a little mini farm here, and like I want to do like more outdoor stuff, but we fly in the backyard all the time for our reviews. She's like, I don't know. This is a troublemaker right here. This is she almost went off the counter. It's a troublemaker. Oh my God. This is a troublemaker.
Her name's Boss Baby.
Yeah, boss baby. She's bigger than everybody else, and she's trying to pick on Nugget over there.
This is hilarious.
She's bad. She's the one that jumps on.
Say cheese. Chickens.
Just-
Full.
She hopped down.
Butters.
Yeah, she flies across the bin and she jumps on the other chicken's back and harasses them, and they scream. Just pecking at my hat.
Sugar. Oh my God!
Poke me in the fucking eye. They do go after your eyes. Most chicken owners have been poked in the eye.
Sugar.
Don't poke me in the eye again, please.
Eat your ear.
She's hungry. You should feed her some crumbles or something.
They're hot from just hanging out outside. Oh, she's going after your mic.
Yeah, she's really give her some crumbles or something. Take her off my shoulder. She's too hungry. I don't want to be poked in the eye.
Come on.
Naughty.
Taking
Live
care.
in Florida. You have 8 fans in your coop. I could see why you need that. It is.
The ice keeps out. Too.
God, it's hot in Florida right now. Probably. I was in North Carolina 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, and it was already 80 in the 80s like 3 weeks ago. Look at Dirt just chilling. She's gonna roost on my arm. I'm the troublemaker here. 94 and raining in Texas. Dang.
Today's the hottest day I think out here. 90.
Yeah, it's a hot.
Go ahead, Butter.
A fan is a great idea. We should actually put a fan in our coop this year. I think that's a great idea. I might have to do it. I never even considered putting a fan. It works. The fan works off the heat. Wow. Dennis, if you have a link to that one, send me a link to that. I'd like to see that. That'd be something to put in our coop. It gets pretty hot, man, in the
big girls are out.
The box. Ours is pretty well ventilated because one side of our coop's opened up, and then the other side's like closed off. But still, like it's got to get super hot at night for them, or during the day when they're trying to lay eggs. 104 in Arizona. Holy crap! They like to like bite at the hairs on my arms. And the bad thing about the crossbeak is she can't really defend herself. Like she can't like. She also can't pick like mice or lice or anything off of her. So we have to like make sure we like check lice and shit like that too. She's high maintenance chicken. That's like her distress call. She's like stressed. Why are you stressed? What are you stressed for? Is it chicken mama? Are you missing chicken mama? She's like the dog. Like wherever mom goes, the dog follows. You guys probably seen our dog Happy. The chicken literally just shit and it squirted out on my crotch. Oh my God, that's awesome. I knew I didn't like you. And that is why you wear jeans on the farm. She asked me today, why are you wearing jeans? I'm like, because I'm doing stuff outside. But at least she shit on my jeans, well, and my shirt. She shit on my jeans. Yeah, the chicken just literally shit in my crotch. Like it was like a projectile shit. So the naughty chicken just literally shit on my crotch. Like projectile shit on my jeans.
Did you show?
You bitch. Knew I didn't like you.
You chose her.
I did, because cinnamon queens are awesome. Except she's naughty. She harasses the other girls because she's bigger. Well, Nugget like doesn't not want to get down.
It's okay. She needs to be used to being held anyway.
Poor Nugget with the cross beak. Yeah, David, they got the shirt a little bit too, so this one's going straight in the wash. I was gonna get a shower anyway, but thank God it's not like on my skin. Derp.
No, her name's Nugget.
That's her nickname, little Derp. Poor Derp.
Anyone else have a cross beak?
8 Fawn says, I'm eating. Anyone else have a chicken with a cross beak? We need some advice. How are we going to feed this? I mean, you know, like, I wouldn't say she's underweight, like a dangerous weight.
But when her cross beak keeps getting worse, so she's growing.
Yeah. I saw someone recently feeding like their cross beak like some type of mash, taking corn and like stuffing in their mouth like sweet corn. Dennis Smith, you could pass me the link if you email it on dronecamps.com. The button at the top right says email us. That chicken shat on me. She kind of looks like a quail, not this one, but the queen. This girl. She has like a quail look to her. Feathers. I was thinking I would love to raise quail. Quail are nice. Nice to eat. Voda 4-blade heat powered stove fan. 80% more warm air than a 2-blade fan. Huh. That's awesome. I think I'm gonna have to install that in our coop. The best thing ever for a chicken coop, though, so far has been the automatic door. Not having to get up and go out, walk in chicken poop at 7 in the morning to open the door and close it. To remember to close it at night. You always still have to kind of check it because sometimes it closes and the chickens get stuck outside. But it's awesome. Chicken shit on me. You're on my shit list.
Literally.
She's like, no, you're on my shit list. You number 1 on my shit list.
Queenie.
Yeah, I know who I'm gonna chase with the drone. I know who I'm gonna chase with the drone. We get too close to you, probably peck me in the face.
Show her to the big girls.
Poor Derp. Look at her pretty feathers, though. She got pretty feathers. She be pretty girl. Just gonna have to give her a special diet. I wonder if she'd eat French fries. Get her some Wendy's fries. She'll be all right. That's what she needs. Just kidding, PETA, if you're watching. They'll come take my chickens now because I mentioned something about feeding fries to them. Like the guy with the squirrel. I don't know if you guys saw that. This guy had a squirrel and animal services came like, I don't know if they like broke into his apartment and took his squirrel. It's kind of messed up. The squirrel was like Instagram famous or something. I don't know. And then they like euthanized the squirrel. They like killed the squirrel. It's fucking, that's messed up. Killed my guy's squirrel. Don't feed him nuggets. She is a nugget. That's her name. Damn, she has like the worst crossbeak. It's crazy. We've been raising them for about 5 years, but just never had this situation with one. So hopefully she survives. And this is an Easter egger, and I think that they are kind of subject to crossbeak. So if you ever get an Easter egger, keep an eye on it. And this is the one that my girlfriend picked out. So this was her fault, not mine, because I wanted Rhode Island Reds, and I wanted Rhode Island Red, and I didn't get one because I did pick the Cinnamon Queen. The Cinnamon Queens just look prettier. Guy actually said, "Oh, that was the dude in upstate New York. They were running an animal rehabilitation, and New York didn't like what they had to say and took their raccoon. Oh yeah, they took the raccoon too. That was messed up, man. That's why you don't live in New York. No offense. I have a ton of people that live up in New York that watch the channel. It's like California. They make so many laws and regulations about everything that it's even hard to like just live a normal life because there's so many goddamn rules and shit. But Oregon's wants to be California, so there's a lot of laws out here you would never have from where I'm from in North Carolina. Rocks are better egg layers, and when the time comes, good for eating. Heck yeah. I saw some half of a duck in Costco yesterday. It was $20 for a half duck in Costco. I really wanted to get some because I haven't had duck in a while. I do like a duck flambe with, sounds fancy, but it's not. It's just you pour whiskey in the pan, light it on fire, and then you make a, only momentarily, you make a nice like mushroom puree with it as the gravy. It's super good. She is probably going to be the tamest out of all of them.
Blue or green it.
He said something about how this will probably be one of the nicest chickens, but it's still her crossbeak lays the biggest eggs. She showed an egg that was like this big that her crossbeak laid, big green egg like this big. So check out Wild Fork, good duck. Duck is some tasty stuff if it's cooked right. You go to any like high class restaurant, it's always like a delicacy on the menu. I like crispy duck. Oh my God, I could have some of that right now. But this chicken has shit in my crotch. Not this one.
You're not worried, are you? You worried? We're gonna have to trim your beak sometime, but it's so curved that I don't know how I'm gonna trim it and have it so that you can eat. Like it's so curved that so other but we need to trim it short enough and not hit the blood vessel. That's the challenge. Dennis, you were born and raised on a farm. You only take what you need. The rest takes care of the farm. Nothing better than raising your own, for sure. All right, David, have a good one, man.
be sure to check out that video. Drops tomorrow. We got a bind and fly with 04 on it, so really nice. Under 5-inch coming up tomorrow on the channel. But hell yeah, and it made it was one of those drones too. I took out of the box. I put my own 04 on it, which took me about 20-25 minutes. Set it up nice and proper, and then I did my maiden flight with it for this video, and I was able to get like 4 minutes freestyle out of it on a pretty small battery. So I think you get like a max probably like 7 to 8 minutes with something like a 1550 battery. It's big. It has a big enough truck bed on it, a long enough body that you could put up to about a 4S 1550 on it. But heck yeah, good review coming up tomorrow. So good product that's still in stock that you guys can get, and currently hopefully be able to get on import. And tomorrow, when you guys see that video drop, try to add it to the cart and see if it'll actually ship to the US. Like, let us know on the channel if you can make the order from China. So we'll all be on the lookout for that, okay? But for now, we're going to go make dinner, put these girls up, and I need to go find some clean clothes. We'll see you this week on some new reviews. I've got some other stuff coming up that's pretty cool too. So there'll be new videos all week long. But I appreciate you. Appreciate all your comments and interaction today. I couldn't stand the heat anymore. I had to get out of it. I'm going to go out and try to finish up that job real quick. First, I'm going to go change clothes. Life on a farm. FPV farm. But yeah, boys, I'll see you guys on the next one. Love you guys. Take care for now, and see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.